First, I'm going to open my browser and search for Mobexterm Home Edition. I'm going to be using a portable edition today. I already downloaded it. Here's the zip file. Inside there are 2 files. I'm going to extract all. Now I can launch Mobexterm. I can uncheck this option and run it. Next, I'm going to Tools, MOBA Key Gen. I'm going to use this tool to generate a pair of public and private keys. I'm not going to choose the default RSA. A much better future-proof option is ED25519. Then you click Generate. You move mouse around. Now you have to come up with the key phrase and enter it here. Then you repeat it. Please do not leave it empty. You don't need to save public key, but you do need to save private key. You could do it in the same directory, install Mobexterm, and let's give it a name private, just to make it clear. It will have default extension PPK. So we will also need public key, but we will need the one shown here, which is an open SSH version. To make use of this public key, we're going back to browser. You have to log in to ccdb.computecanada.ca using your Compute Canada credentials. I already logged in using some fake user credentials just for this demonstration. Next, you go to My Account, Manage SSH Keys. This is the place where you should add your public key. Make sure it's not private, it's public, and it should start with something like SSH-ED. Going back to the Mobexterm SSH key generator, now I have to highlight the whole string. Ctrl-C will copy it. Going back to the browser, now Ctrl-V. So again, it's make sure it's public, not private, and it starts with SSH-ED. And then you say Add Key. So the key is here now, and it's active. You can click Show Details. Here's the public key. If you ever need to reuse public key for other purposes, it's here. If you don't need it, you can delete it. Now we can kill this tool. We're going back to Mobexterm. The convenient way to make use of this is first to go to Settings, Configuration, SSH tab, and we have to fill out this SSH agent part. This is the part which allows one not to type passphrase every time you log into a cluster, only once per launching Mobexterm application. Instead of using external application, we will be using internal mob agent. Then we're going to click plus and we will add the private key, which, if you remember, was in download directory inside Mobexterm. Here's the private key we created. Then we have to click on Show Keys Currently Loaded. This app is not running yet, so we have to click Yes. And now we have to type in the passphrase which we created. Then you click OK, and it will tell you to restart Mobexterm. You say yes. And now every time you start Mobexterm, it will ask you for this passphrase. And now we can open as many SSH sessions as you want. The convenient way to use this agent is to go to Session and create separate session for each cluster you plan to use. So you go to SSH, you enter the address, let's say gram.computecanada.ca. My login name is demo, and you want to also activate advanced settings. Instead of SFTP, it's better to use SCP. And importantly, you have to enable the private key which we just generated. It's here. Now we all set. Voila! We just logged in to Gram cluster using the key which we added to CCDB. So it's already active and it allowed me to log into a cluster without having to type password or passphrase. You can go to sessions. If you need second session, double click. Again, no need to type passphrase or password. If you want to add another cluster, you have to repeat these steps. Let's say beluga.computecanada.ca. And we just repeat the steps we did before. Demo, advanced settings, SCP, and we have to provide the same private key as before. And voila, we're inside Beluga without having to type passphrase or password. To repeat, as long as MobXterm application is running, you don't have to type passphrases or passwords.